I'm Wally El Timbalero, and you're watching Drums and Rums. Baya!
Hey all, this is Paul from Drums and Rums with the Backbeats Meets the Spirits. We've got a great guest today. I learned about our guest during our podcast with Tito Puente Jr. And Tito mentioned that there's this kid that played exactly like his father. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna talk to our guest here to learn more about how uh, how he learned, how he became such a big fan, how he performs, even and then getting the accolades from Tito Jr. here. So let's find out about how our guest became inspired by Tito, his story about the timbales, salsa, and more. Let's welcome to the podcast Wally El Timbalero. How you doing, Wally?
Good, good, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm a little tired right now. I got sunglasses on, so I'm a little jet lagged coming from. You're actually, on the other side of the country, so it's a long, long trip. But it's not about me. It's about you, right? You're the guest here, so we're gonna talk about all this kind of cool stuff here. So, yeah, thanks for joining us here on the podcast. Like I said there in the intro, have you on and I was talking with Tito, and I met Tito at a show here in West Palm Beach. I just went up to him and said, "Hey, would you mind doing a podcast?" And he's like, "Yeah, drums and rum's perfect." And then we got a chance to tape the episode, earlier this year, and he's like, "Oh, you got to check out." I know we mean a kid in an affectionate way. Again, I know you're not a kid, but at the same time, I know I'm old. Okay, how about that, right? So you're a kid and I'm old, right? An old fart. But yeah. So again, there's so much here is, because as with senior passing away, I mean, you were just about, I guess, how old were you, I guess, at that point, right? And then how old, or were you born yet even? And how to get, that exposure and how he inspired you to kind of get into playing percussion and timbales yet. So yeah. How'd you learn about Tito, I guess, senior?
So it's a long story, but we have time, so I'll tell you. I started when I was 4, and I didn't get to meet Tito Puente. Tito Puente passed away 3 years ago before I was born. So around the age of 4, I was just sitting down in the living room and drinking my bottle of milk. And I was watching my favorite TV show, which was Sesame Street on PBS. And all of a sudden I see this guy with white hair, this guy coming with white hair, and I see that he has like these drums. I didn't know they were drums or timbales. And I just see him on the TV, and when he starts playing, I just stare at him and I'm like, wow, this is so cool, this is like amazing, I've never seen anyone play like the way he did. So after that, I just I was in complete shock, and my mom was actually washing the dishes, and I just start crying after he finished playing because I wanted to see more, more, and more. So she was in the kitchen, and all I could remember was her running back to me, and because I was crying, and well, she looked at me, and I was like, "Mom, I want to know more about this man. Like, I love this music, and like, I need to know more." So she said, "Okay, but like, what do I do now?" So all she thought was, "Okay, let's go to the public library. They might have some VHS, or back then the Blockbuster, I think it was called, or something." So we visited those places, and she found some DVDs, VHS, the old stuff, and she brought it back to me, and she put it on the TV, and after that, I was in complete love with Tito Puente. I love the way he played. I love the way he entertained, because some drummers are like, "Oh, okay," but Tito was like, the whole thing, like it's a whole, like, it's like a movie, like the way he's playing, like it's just so entertaining. So after that, in the few weeks that passed by, I was like, okay, I need this drum, I need this pot, I need this pan. So I went to the kitchen and I looked for something that looked similar to what he was playing with. So I took out the pots and pans, and I just put them in front of the TV, and I just started playing, to what he was playing. So after that, I've never told anyone about this, only the people that I trust, but I'm going to tell you. And the people that are watching this are going to know too. I started having many dreams about Tito Puente, and I started having many spiritual encounters with Tito Puente.
Wow.
So without having timbales, without having anything, in the many dreams that I would have, he would actually show me how to play timbales, believe it or not, and I would actually be with him, and he would be next to me, or in some dreams I would have, we would be at a show, and so many cool things would happen with this man that I didn't know, and that had
Wow.
passed away. So that's how it started,
That's
and then
so
yeah,
while it's a very little different, I guess, from most people I talk to who talk about pots and pans are, aren't, I mean, maybe because my demographics, I don't have as many Latin and salsa percussionists on the show, right? Maybe I need to increase that, right? So, but so far this year, we're adding to that demographics, but yeah. So the pots and pans aspect of the rudimentary first drum set or things to bang on as a kid. And as we were just joking there a little bit about our ages, and yeah, it's funny because this Sesame Street show has a long history of having musicians, especially drummers, right? Buddy Rich was
correct.
on the Sesame Street show back in the '70s or early '80s, and but it's kind of really cool that it's that show's even very generational and how it impacted just just by chance, right? Maybe that day you weren't watching it or didn't see it, and that is pretty cool that from that inspiration story there from Sesame Street. Yeah, good old Big Bird and Grandma
Elmo.
Goose. So at this point here, I guess when do you get, move from the pots and pans and upgrade to, more the timbales and percussion instruments?
Yes. So after I had those many dreams and spiritual encounters with Tito Puente, without knowing they were called timbales, I just told my mom, I want to get drums. I want this. I want this. And I showed her. And funny enough, I would tell her in the few months that went by and when I was 4, my birthday was coming up. And I would tell my mom, I want LP. I want LP. And she'd be like, what's LP? You know? And LP is, for the people that don't know, it's the brand for LP Tito Puente series of timbales.
Right.
So she took me to the music store, and they had many drums there, and many different types of timbales, the bigger ones, 14, 15, all those sizes. And I picked out the LP Tito Puente timbales, and after that, I've always loved playing on Tito Puente timbales.
There you go. So the so was it a music store that was a typical store that has a lot of drum kits and because I mean, I guess depending on where you are, I would assume some drum stores may not carry something like that, right?
Correct,
Timbali.
correct. So yes, we don't live super near it. I mean, it's near. It's like 20 minutes from it, 20, 25. And they had like a huge selection of percussion. I mean, like in the back room, it was like all like conga drums, and the other side they had like 5 or 6 timbales, many guitars. I should give you an idea of what the place is called. um,
It's a big box store that's not a sponsor of the show, right? So
yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, that's where they had all the percussion section and timbales and all that stuff, and that's how I picked out my first timbales from that store.
So with this learning, being inspired and learn and now totally locked into to performing and playing like Tito and playing the tamales, did is that did that kind of evolve into more lessons or lessons taken finding a teacher, or is it just been is that no, and I'm not sure what happened there. So
Mm.
So was it where you're going through taking did you go to, like, take lessons, or was it just everything you've watched on the VHS, DVDs, etcetera, of Tito?
So it's everything basically of I've played by ear.
Mm,
I have taken some classes by a teacher that passed away, unfortunately, 2 years ago. And I did get to learn a little bit into reading percussion, bongos, congas, timbales, stuff like that. I started to take classes, piano classes, so I know a little bit about piano. But I have a different gift also, and we'll get into that later. But in music, yeah, I did take a little bit, but it's more about the gift and the spiritual encounters that I had for Tito Puente that really pushed me on to become the person that I am today.
yeah, it's and it's not it's yeah, a lot of people are pretty much are self-taught because they just are able to hear it and connect to it and hear, from the ear to the hands to be able to perform what they're hearing. And especially like people that right have a good tone, or some people that are like tone deaf or don't have a good ear for music,
Mhm.
they've got to rely on learning a lot of sheet music or learning how to read music if they want to perform
Correct.
further
Yeah.
and so forth. So, but yeah, so you had so the many different percussion types. So let me ask the question then is, uh, do you normal? I'm the question isn't can you play or do you play, but I mean a trap kit. But I mean I guess it's not you really your instrument, but you can play it though, right?
Correct. So, my dad, who knows nothing about music and is a business person, one day they gave him a free drum kit. And he actually brought it outside the house, and it was like a really nice drum kit when I was like 7 or 8. And I mean, I had timbales in that time, but he was like, "They're free, like do something." So I went outside and I was like, "Ooh, dun dun dun," and then I would later find out by my music teacher, okay, this is the snare, this is the hi hat, this is a kick drum. So yes, I do know how to play drums as well. But
Right.
I have the more passion for timbales than drums, but I can play drums.
So I guess and that I never even thought to ask even Tito this question. So I'll ask you is starting off in timbales and then, what as you just described there playing a kit in, I guess are timbales players more because they are playing open I'm sticking, as opposed to more of a drum kit style, but I guess it's much easier to play that on a kit because you normally are playing two hands and not crossed over.
Correct, correct. In that sense, yes, correct. But also my mom likes rock music and different styles of music. So Rolling Stones, Guns N' Roses, all of that. So I had a broad range of music taste. So when I got into the drums, my teacher really didn't explain to me before I went on the drums. So it was kind of more of I was like a week there, and I was like, oh, so this is where this goes, and this is where this goes. So that's how I kind of got into that. And going back to the timbales versus the drums, is it easier? They're both difficult. You just have to have the ear for it because like timbales, you can add a cowbell. Anyone can play a cowbell if you have rhythm. Just play the you know. But if you're playing like the cascara or the cowbell, the timbale bell versus just the cha-cha bell, then yes, it's a little bit different. But it might be for some people, it might be easier to play drums. As for other people, it might be easier to just play the timbales.
Right.
It's up to
Just
the people.
just
Yeah.
no b just no bass pedal, right? So you don't have to see that because
Yeah. Yeah.
allows see, having no bass pedal and bass drum allows you to dance, right? That's kinda like what a big thing with, like, Tito, right? That you
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
the energy that he had and moving and kinda that it yeah, he's I know that and that was while he's like I said, when I saw Junior perform, end of last year, it was a very intimate place and really close. And I was like, this is awesome, it's great to see. Usually drummers are stuck in the back of the stage, right? But
That's
you
true.
guys were right up front, and it was so the energy, I guess, is what it is. The music of Latin music and salsa and so forth. And here I lived my whole life really growing up on rock and roll. So see, I don't know where I went wrong. So please tell me though, please tell me like me I know we're gonna talk about the band, but that maybe is there a Rolling Stone tribute band that plays all in Latin style? That'd be awesome.
Well, I know that back then, going what like 20 years ago, I think it was a tribute to the Beatles. I believe that the RMM production did in a Latin style. I know that Tito Puente was featured on that album. Not the Rolling Stones, but yeah. Um, to
Yeah.
the rock music and all that. They did a little bit, and then no, Tito Puente did a famous song "Oye Como Va," which
Mhm.
is in the rock world
Yep.
popular, known everywhere.
And that's a lot of people that I talk to that, are not familiar with, they probably have heard of Tito. They probably don't know his music, right? And because they're probably not. But I said when I have to explain, I said, "Oh yeah, no, I don't know." I said, "Oye Como Va," you know that song that Santana, performed. I said that was Tito's song, and Santana just rocked it up a bit, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I know that song." It's like everybody knows that song, right? Of anything.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, but
exactly. Yeah,
Tito's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So, but yeah, so kind of, so through, as you're, learning and coming up and playing the timbales. I mean, again, what kind of, I guess, outlet would you normally have? I mean, is there something like in school, or do you start to get together with other people I guess, jam with or perform with, or
So, yes, the transition between the ages and how I got into music. Yes. So, one day I was searching Tito Puente Jr. on Google or something, and then an event popped up, and it said Tito Puente Jr. is going to be performing near you. So I was like, oh my God, no freaking way. Like, so I saw the event and I quickly bought the tickets. I didn't even tell my parents, oh, can I get this? I'm like, I need this. So I got the tickets and then I told my mom, okay, look, mom, and blah, 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 blah. It's at this day, it's at this venue. And I went to meet him. We got VIP tickets. There was a long line. He did not know much about me.
Mm,
However, I was in line. I was shaking. I was so nervous because Tito Puente Jr. to me was the closest thing to Tito Puente.
mm,
I had met a lot of people that knew him, but him being the son of the Latin legend Tito Puente is just amazing. Was amazing to me, and it still is today. I waited in the line, and I was so scared. I was like shaking, super happy. And when I finally meet him, he's like, "Hey, Baya, how are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you. My name is Wally, and I also play timbales, and I love your father, and blah blah blah." And since that point on in my life, we've been friends. He invited me to perform with him that day, and we just had a connection.
mm.
And that's how it kind of started. And then he invited me to more um, uh, performances that he had nearby, and I also went to music venues where they had Latin music, Latin jazz, live salsa music,
Yes.
rock music, that type of stuff. So I started to soak in, more music.
Mm. Yeah, he's awesome, isn't he?
Yeah, he's incredible. He's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, so, in so th perform I mean, I guess what was it like performing next to him there or with him on stage? I guess the first time, right? Because I know you've done it a couple times, right?
Yes, now it's like what, like the 10th time I've played with him. So 10, 11, something like that. The first time, scary. There's a lot of people in front of you. And I had a little, I knew the style of Tito Puente because when Tito Puente, when I had the dreams, I had a familiarity and similarity in familiarity I don't know how to find the right word, but I could think of what to play, but I was so scared in front of people that I just thought of something else. So I was like, oh, I just have to play. I have to do something. So it was awesome. He was next to me. People were yelling and screaming. There was the piano player going crazy, the cowbell behind me. It was just an awesome experience. And I just loved it. And I wanted to feel more of it. And I could see people being happy to what I was doing. So now I wanted to do it more, more, and more. And I do that till today.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess that's one of those when you meet your idol or whatever you want to call it, right? Somebody who's like really means a lot to you, especially in something that you're very passionate about. And then you meet the person, and hopefully, when you meet the person, it always turns out to be a good experience, as opposed
Yeah.
sometimes people don't have that. But yeah, and then it's like, oh hey, let's perform, but throw you on the stage, and then in front of, like you said, in front of a bunch of people, and was that the first time you ever performed, in a sizable audience, or
I had been at a different show. I don't remember with who exactly. It was just a random band performing. And I went up to the guy and he seemed, pretty chill. And I told him, I'm starting and playing and whatnot. And he said, okay, I'll invite you over to perform a song. And I was basically shitting myself. Um, but I performed the song. I was really serious. And it happened and I loved it. My face wasn't really, like today that it's like I'm playing, I'm like, okay, let's have fun. I was more serious. But then with Tito Puente Jr. inviting me to more shows and me looking further into Latin music and live shows happening around where I live, I started to get more comfortable not only with the people but the drums that I was performing on and the audience.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure by now, right, it's you're a little bit you're a lot more relaxed and comfortable, you're confident, and it's a more it feels more natural, and yeah, the first time is, yeah, you can tense, and because you wanna do good, and then now it's like, I'm sure watching I know watching videos of you 2 together, it's like, "Okay, this is kinda crazy," it's like, you know, 20 times 1,000, So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so, the the configuration there, I know right, what you got behind you there, is for those that are not really familiar with Latin, percussion, that's what folks that was LP stands for Latin percussion, um,
Correct.
is, break down, what the configuration that you have there is, don't have to move it on the camera view, but you can kind of
Yeah.
just explain, what you got there.
So this up here is a cowbell. This is a mambo timbal bell, and this is what you play when the song is up tune, typically in a salsa tune or Latin jazz. This is a cha-cha bell. This is the centennial. I know that you got to see the centennial timbales. I don't have those yet. Unless Tito, if you want to send me one. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
This is
hey, Wally, we're gonna clip that, and we're gonna put that on Instagram and see what happens, right?
okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
So this is the Tito Puente Mambo bell. This is a very rare and vintage cowbell. The LP has made many Tito Puente cowbells. This is a Tito Puente cowbell. As you can see, it's much thicker. It has a very nice sound to it. These are the smaller ones. These are the LP Tito Puente Bronze series. This is the 10.5 and 9.5, I believe. Normal timbales are 14 and 15. So they're much bigger than this. But Tito Puente used these in playing his style, which is something called a Mozambique style.
Mm,
So he would use these a lot. And back in Cuba, in the Sonora Matancera, in those times, they wouldn't use bongos; they would use timbalitos, or something very similar to this. So that's the story on those.
okay. So, is it again, going back to the kit, is as performing and as a, percussion/drummer, etcetera, is just it's all percussion, but, standing versus sitting, obviously, because obviously the pedal we talked about. So, I mean, the only thing that I kinda compare is I don't see obviously very many of it is, but I'm guess it's similar as those cocktail kits where you play it standing up and then there's still a bass pedal, and the bass pedal hits the bottom of, I guess, the what would be the tom, right? So I
Correct.
don't
Correct.
yeah, it's
Yes.
like the closest I guess you could, but you're still standing nonetheless. So, but
Correct.
yeah, to be honest, I don't know, and again, this is not, I wish LP, if LP, if you're listening, this would be a great spot. I'll be whatever you want me to do. But, but in seriousness, I don't think there's anybody give a cowbell that isn't LP. I couldn't even, I know there's others that are made, but when, like you said, whenever you think of cowbell, it's LP, right? Because
Correct.
that's what
Yeah.
I've got is an LP cowbell. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think more in the rock term, obviously Black Beauty. So is the cowbell option there. So, but yeah,
Correct.
so
Yes.
like you said, that there's more. Tito's played a bigger configuration as well, and all together, sometimes small, sometimes large, and all depending on, I guess, the style or the venue, I guess, right?
Correct. Correct. And if he was playing Latin jazz or if with his big band, then he typically used more timbales. I think that was just his style of having so many different timbales. He'd have the thunder timbales on his left side and the timbalitos on the right, and in the middle, the 14 and 15. Typically, timbaleros don't use timbalitos nor the thunder ones. The typical ones to use are the 14 and 15 inch. So that's the difference between them.
I got you. Okay, I got you. So, you mentioned a band. So, can you talk a little bit about, I guess, the band or what you're currently doing music wise?
Yes. So my band. So I started it about a year ago. And I was after I finished high school, and I also have a different gift, which we'll get into later on. I wanted to do something because every time after I would finish a concert or someone would invite me to perform at their band, people would come up to me and they'd say, "Do you have a band, or are you going to do something into music, or are you going to study music? Are you going to go to Berkeley, or what's happening?" You know. So what I finally decided to do after lots of people coming up and telling me and asking me is as my band. So right now we have a few private gigs, and the band is called Wally and his California Salsa Swing. So yeah.
So I may be out in California in July, so maybe there's a chance.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
Yeah,
how many members in the band? Because it's usually in a it's a pretty you got quite a few, right? In a salsa band.
correct. Correct. So right now it's eight. One singer, trombone, trumpet, piano, bass, bongos, congas, and me as the entertainer, as you can see. So yeah, we're open for bookings right now. I'm gonna be posting the promo video later on, and if the people want to follow me on Instagram, Wally El Timbalero, I'm gonna be posting some events on there soon.
Cool. All right, we'll make sure we include the links and everything. So, um, is it is it cover music, original music, or combination, or what kind of music?
Good question. So I do have compositions of my own. I have written a few songs. However, I'm still waiting off on that. I kind of want to wait a little bit more till I'm older because it takes a lot of time and money into putting it into making an album and putting all the effort and recording and all that stuff. I'm also not 21 yet, so I don't know if I might have a problem with signing a record label or something like that. So, yes, I do have my own compositions, but right now my band is purely playing Latin jazz
Mm,
or hard salsa music.
mm,
So it's a mixture of Puerto Rican salsa music, Puerto Rican American salsa music, and Colombian salsa music. And the
mm.
Latin jazz is more tunes of Tito Puente in his Latin jazz section that he had. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what as Tito mentioned, that his dad, was you know just embraced all forms of Latin music and general and whether it was with Celia Cruz and
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, so it was blending all these things that that's how you make things even better is that you blend and you expand and have creating new things, new music from these kinds of different collaborations and so forth. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, let's get to this hidden talent because I know you've hinted about it a couple times now. So I guess we better get to this hidden talent here.
Yeah, so as many people don't know, my hidden talent is to fix, make, and sell vacuums. So, completely different from music. It makes my dad's pocket happy. Um, but yeah, I've always had a passion for vacuums too, since I was very young. My mom's vacuum broke when I was like 7, something like that, and I just started to take it apart, and I just love the electronic parts. I've also fixed a few things at my house, like the washing machine, the hair dryer, the dryers. I'm into electronics and stuff like that too, and I have made my own vacuum. I have my own patents on it,
Oh wow.
and yeah, so I love vacuums as much as I love LP Tito Puente music and all that stuff too.
All right, that kind of I definitely shocking. Yeah, I know you were saying it's a hidden talent, and one is to be really into vacuums, and two is yeah, but yeah, congrats on the patents, right? So I mean, that's a no easy feat to be able to perform.
Yeah.
So how do we make because we see a lot of electronic drum kits. How do we make an electronic uh timbales? We got to work on this, right? You said you're
That's a
into electronics, man.
That's a really a good idea. I've actually thought of that on my own, but as I know that there are many picky drummers out there that when they see it, they're gonna go, "Mm-mm, no, thank you, bye bye." And there's not a very much difference between a homeless person and a musician. So even if it was, it'd be pretty expensive, more than the Tito Puente timbales. They'd be expensive, but that's a good idea. I've thought of
Yeah,
that too.
there we
But
go.
yeah.
And let's yeah, well, I mean, some have said that electronic drums, synthetic drums have gotten better. It feels a lot more rather than just hitting a piece of plastic. Some of
Correct.
the bounce on the heads of those electronic drums, or what I had done was I took an acoustic little breakbeat kit, drum kit, and so the Remo makes a mesh head, and I
Mm,
put a drum trigger on all of the drums, so I can keep the volume real low, and then control it with the module from a electronic drum kit to kind of even have different sounds programmed in too. So or like one of those Octopad roll-in pads off to the side. So
mhm. Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
different ideas. Yeah, you never know, right? You experiment.
Yeah, yeah. I used to play drum kits, when I played at church,
Okay.
because I did get to play at church. However, with the business that I'm doing right now, I kinda had to go out a little bit. When I can, I go and do help out. But yeah, they did have a drum kit there, and I played the drum kit, in mass. So, yeah.
Okay. They stick you behind the big wall of plastic.
Yeah, yeah, that thing, the clear thing, yeah.
A friend of mine had been posting on his Instagram page. He lives there locally here. At his church, they built like this whole little drum aid. I guess it's all to kind of keep the
Yeah.
sound down. And
I mean, and they were electric, but I had them for the percussion section. Um, so they were next to me, and I would bring my bongos and my congas, and I would have it around me, and I'd be like, "Help!"
is this like the are you like the are you the like the Neil Peart of Latin drums, right? You have all these different drums around you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, sometimes I do that with these. I put them up sideways and do 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 do. Yeah.
Right. That's pretty funny. So, we're gonna do our little segment here. I know you watch the show, so you've seen past episodes on
Correct.
our rapid fire questions. So it's in 4 beats or less. Don't overthink them. First thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. So in 4 beats or less, who's on your Mount Rushmore of drummers slash percussionists?
Okay. Number one, Tito Puente. Two, Ray Barretto. Three, Giovanni Hidalgo. And four, in my opinion, one of the best bongo players in the world, John Dundee Rodriguez.
All right. All right. Very good. All right. So, question number two. This might be a tough one for you now. So, this is the whole part of it. So, question number two. What's your favorite Tito Puente song?
Oh my God, that's a hard one. That's a
You're
hard
gonna
one.
ask that.
Jesus Christ, I did not think you were gonna ask that. Out of 180 tunes or some, I
Hey.
think I think it's gonna have to be this one right here.
Okay.
It's
All
called
right.
El Rey del Timbal. It's one of the fastest tunes that I've heard that he plays, and it's just such an incredible song because it's fast. You have to keep in tempo, and the way he played that in his style was absolutely incredible. So it has to be El Rey del Timbal.
Okay. All right. All right. So, yeah, no, it's a tough one. You gotta like ask your like, what's your favorite? Which one's your favorite kid or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Question number three here. What social media other than obviously yourself, right? I know you post online and social media. Uh, what social media drummer or percussionist are you following?
I follow lots of people. So, someone that comes up in mind, There are so many, and I can't really think of a name right now. But if you see on Remo posts a bunch of stuff of young drummers too. I've seen some amazing percussionists coming out too. But yeah, that's all I can say.
Oh, it's there's a lot, yeah, there's a lot out there, I follow a few and it's like you're trying to keep up. They all do different things and either
Yeah,
it's infusing comedy with their, music, or playing styles
with
like
spoons I've seen too and stuff like that.
right. There's a guy, you probably have seen him because everyone always sends me the clips of El Stempario.
Mm,
I think he's in Spain and
mm.
he's got some incredible speed and he's, pretty humorous and
Is he the guy with the beard?
yes, yep, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
drumsticks and, like, this little skull and the drumsticks and all
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's pretty
Incredible.
yeah.
Like the triplets and all that, the paradiddles.
So
Yeah.
very good. That wasn't too bad in 4 beats or less, going through the rapid fire there to kinda breaks the I don't know if I should start off the show that way to kinda break the ice a little bit before getting to show, but I'm always kinda switching it up there just to kinda ask questions that aren't already see that so those that's not in the questionnaire, right? So that's, what we send out to everybody, say, "Hey, just fill out this questionnaire, just kinda get a little bit of information from you." And then, but I don't tell you about the rapid
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
surprise. So you mentioned there, you're on Instagram there to follow you, so other socials or websites or things to kind of check you out or to kind of what else do you got?
So right now, I mainly do Instagram, and I try to post every Tuesday.
Mm.
So I do salsa cover videos on timbales. Sometimes I do bongos. Sometimes I do congas. But every Tuesday, I try to post something new, and it's gone pretty well. Some videos have gone viral. So a video actually got posted on a very huge Puerto Rican station called Zeta 93. About a year ago it got posted, and that's kind of where it kind of went viral and more people started to see me, and I got more followers and more people started to share. And then the big thing is that Tito Puente actually in your section of podcast said that I played like his father. So after that I posted it on there, and that it went even more viral, and then I started to do more music videos of Tito Puente, and it's been going amazing, and I absolutely love doing it. I love playing because I love making people happy. So yeah, on Instagram I'm by the name of Wally El Timbalero, Timbalero. And yeah, that's what I do. I love playing.
Very cool. All right. So, all right. Well, very cool. Wally, it was definitely great chatting with you. So definitely, if you're watching or listening this here, check out. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't post anything on there. I mainly post on Instagram.
Got it. Okay. Okay. That's fair. And while you were talking about some of the others, the videos you're posting and things, did you ever think about doing any type of live streaming and having people tune in and things like that at all?
I have thought of it, but the only problem is that a lot of people in other states see me, so the timing wise is much different to where I am. So if I go live, like the most people are going to see me is like 50 people, and versus my almost 14,000 followers, so it doesn't really make sense to do it. But yeah, I'd be down to go live, and I have gone live before
All
on
right.
like Christmas and special events and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right, very yeah, I've started to try to my live streams I usually did on Thursday nights. It was more of a way to promote the podcast, have a little fun, and have maybe some people in person. And sometimes I'd bring them in like on like Zoom or like this to kind of engage and have a conversation and so forth. Maybe, maybe so. Usually I do it at like 8 o'clock at night, like in East Coast time. So maybe that might work out or something. We'll maybe stay in touch. Hey, bring you on and do a little bit of performance there, and be kind of cool. We'll have to figure out the logistics and all that, but we'll definitely. That's why I say, Wally, is everyone who comes on the show. I've become a big fan of theirs. It's all about supporting each other, kind of promoting each other, and if something that if I like, hopefully other people like, things I like, and promote and so forth. That's what the internet viralness is about, right? Is if
Correct.
right, to kind of be able to grow, and again, get your music out there, doing podcasts and I'm sure interviews and as much as you can to kind of get the word out there about who you are, and about, again, it's about connecting as well too, right? Is a big piece of these things too. So, but yeah, no, I definitely appreciate you coming on the podcast here. So as we wrap up here, so I appreciate everybody. So don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Go over to Drums and Rubs YouTube channel. Follow us and subscribe on the Apple podcast platform. Leave us a ratings and a 5 star, or I don't care. Just give me anything at this point.
Just share it.
Like,
Do
I'm okay.
something.
Something is better than nothing, right? Yeah. So 5 star would be cool, but leave me a review on there too. Follow us on all the socials there, Instagram, Facebook. I think TikTok, I do some TikTok stuff and things like that. But yeah, so definitely tune in there, drumsandrums.com. And then I want to thank Wally for coming on the show here. Have a great day. This is where the backbeats meet spirits. Thanks, y'all.
Yes, thank you.